This is the Savvy Investor radio show and podcast. For help with your retirement, schedule a 15-minute phone conversation with the team at ProStatus Financial Advisors today. Just call 866-597-1040 and at thesavvyinvestorradio.com.
Hello again, and welcome to the Savvy Investor radio show and podcast with the team at ProStatus Financial. We have Ryan Herbert here today. My name is Randy Cook, and each week we sit down here and talk through some of the issues of retirement, have a little fun doing it, but at the same time, hopefully you'll get a little information, learn a little something, and maybe if you don't have that financial advisor in your life, if you don't have that tax professional in your life to help you with your retirement planning, let us introduce you to the team at ProStatus. Let me ask you a deep financial question here, Ryan. Do you like Oreo cookies?
Oreos are my vice. I don't have many when it comes to desserts, but you put a family-sized thing of Oreos in my house, I will finish it in probably 3 days, to be honest.
Well, if you go to the grocery store, you'll notice if you go to the Oreo section, very frequently they now have a special Oreo that they'll put out there for like a month. And so at work, we have this thing where if you see one of those packages, birthday cake Oreos, tiramisu Oreos, or whatever it is, you got to buy that package, bring it to work. We all eat them, we rate them, and we put them on our list. And we have 39 different Oreo cookies on there right now. I don't know what number one is right now, but
probably the regular one, I would say. The regular one.
Number 40, I think, is definitely going to be this. Look for this in the Oreo section. It may appear in your Oreo section. It is the Thanksgiving Oreo meal, and it's going to come in a tin that looks like an Oreo cookie. And inside the tin, there's 12 cookies, only 12. And 2 of them will be of like flavor, and they will be these flavors: a turkey and gravy Oreo, a sweet potato Oreo, a cream corn Oreo, apple caramel pie, pumpkin pie, and cranberry sauce Oreo. Are you in? This could replace all the cooking and everything at your house, Ryan. What do you think?
I would eat 2 of those.
Okay, which one?
Pie and the pumpkin pie. The other 3. You know, it's a neat idea, but I couldn't. I mean, is it going to be like cookie flavored along with it? They can sound pretty gross.
I can't imagine it. We were on the radio doing a show during Thanksgiving one time, and somebody from the Jones Soda Company came in, and they do weird sodas, and they had a Thanksgiving meal in a 6-pack, and one of them was green bean casserole soda. It was as bad as what it sounds.
No. That's terrible. You know, we do this fun thing every year, and we do it for 4th of July, and normally the weekend after 4th of July. We have a piece of property up in Pennsylvania with a cabin and a couple smaller buildings, and people come up and we do camping and all kinds of stuff. But we always have some type of taste test challenge. One time there was, trying, it's like 40 different hot sauce flavors from levels. And some of it turns out to be really gross things, but this might be one of those things that we have to incorporate.
You may have to put this in there.
Everyone taste tests these things and see if you can figure out what they are.
The main idea here is sometimes the marketing is a lot better than the actual product. You know, it's an Oreo cookie. Great. It tastes like cream corn. Ugh, not so much. In the financial world, and that's where I want to get here, is many times there's things that sound good, but then when you actually put them into practice, maybe it's not for you, or maybe not so much. When you think about that in that context, what do you think?
You know, that really, to me, you know, something that is really looks really wonderful, is a great idea on paper, but doesn't actually make sense, doesn't really work the way you think it should or would be those target date mutual funds. You know, the T. Rowe Price has them, Fidelity has them, Schwab has them. Every company out there has some variation of them. And, you know, the theory behind them is you pick a retirement date fund, and they come in 5-year increments. So, you know, right now, 2025, 2030, 2035, 2040, you pick the one that is as close to your retirement date as possible. So if you're going to retire in 2028, you'd either pick the 2025 fund or the 2030 fund. And the thought process behind them is it's supposed to take all of the guesswork out of investing for you, because the fund itself is made up of a bunch of other mutual funds. And I'm just going to use T. Rowe Price for example. I worked for T. Rowe Price years and years ago, back 06, 07, right before the market crash. I actually left right when the market crash was happening to come over here to Pro Status. But, T. Rowe Price is a wonderful company. They have really good mutual funds. They are on the cheaper side from that, so if you must use mutual funds, they are a decent mutual fund company to use. But they have hundreds of these funds, from their health sciences to large cap growth to blue chip to emerging markets, all these different things. And if you're looking at your 401k statement, sometimes you have 5 options, sometimes you have 50 options. How are you really supposed to know what to use? And most people choose, I see these retirement date funds. The thought process behind them, like I explained, you pick it based on whenever you're going to retire, and it is taking all of those funds. T. Rowe Price's 2030 fund is factoring in all of the various mutual funds that it has. And the thought behind it is, when you're young and you have a lot of time, so if you're picking the 2050 fund, you have 25 years to retirement. That fund is supposed to be super aggressive, really shooting for the moon when it comes to your return, because you have 25 years in theory until retirement happens. And every year as it gets closer to retirement, that fund itself is supposed to become more and more conservative. So your 2025 fund right now would be as conservative as possible, should pretty much be 100% bonds or 100% cash. And it doesn't always really work out that way. And the reason I say that is, if we look at history, going back to 2008, when I was working for T. Rowe Price, like I said, I just left them after 2008. I was having this conversation with Mike about these retirement date funds and, why doesn't he use them in the overall practice? And we went and we looked at the performance, because 2008 happened. Stock market crashed. Everybody knows that. We went and looked at the T. Rowe Price 2010 fund. That T. Rowe Price 2010 fund after 2008, I think, was down like 25, 26%.
Wow.
If you're 2 years out from retirement, you shouldn't be risking that much money in the stock market. And it really prompted this deeper dive into, why did it perform this way? And I want to think the 2015 fund was down like 15 or 18%, something like that. So, they weren't as conservative as they should have been. And the real reason behind that is the name of the game when it comes to institutional investment companies, when it comes to mutual fund companies or fund companies, is fees. It really kind of is the race to zero. Who can do it for the cheapest price? And when it comes to T. Rowe, like I said, they tend to be fairly cheap, normally around 1%. Some of them are under, some of them are over, depending on what they are. But when it comes to these mutual funds, as this mutual fund manager, he's supposed to be making it more and more conservative. So he's supposed to be selling off some of these stocks and bonds, some of these other funds that he has, and buying other ones. Well, every time that mutual fund manager is buying and selling inside of those funds, that's a cost. And the more frequently he has to do it to get it to become more conservative as it gets closer, that's going to start driving that cost up. So if you're becoming more and more conservative, the rates of return are going to start slowly dropping down to bond rates, 2, 3, 4, 5%. Well, if all of a sudden my fees in this mutual fund are going up from 1% to 1.5% to 2 to 2.5% to 3% because of all these transactions, it's a losing proposition, because I'm not making enough money to make up for the fees. So they don't become as conservative as they should be the closer it gets to those dates. And that's why it's great on paper that these funds are supposed to function this way. In actuality, that's not really the way that they function. And there is a completely different methodology that Mike and I take when it comes to retirement planning. And it's that you take the least amount of risk necessary to accomplish the goal. Just because you're close to retirement does not mean you have to be super conservative. it really all depends on what your goals are with your retirement. And if you want to find out more about, how this could really look for you, what a portfolio structure should look, how conservative should I be, you can visit us on our website at thesavvyinvestorradio.com. Right at the top of the page is a button that says schedule my call without ever having to pick up the phone. That's thesavvyinvestorradio.com.
Advisory services offered through ProStatus Financial Advisors Group, a registered investment advisor. Insurance licensed in Maryland. ProStatus Financial Advisors Group, LLC is not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if ProStatus Financial Advisors Group is licensed in your state, please call 410-863-1040. ProStatus Group, LLC is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through representatives of ProStatus Financial Advisors Group.